She called it closure. I guess I always knew something was off. Not in the beginning. In the beginning, everything felt perfect, almost too perfect. The kind of perfect you only see in movies and Instagram posts with captions like, "My forever red heart." Her name was Clara. And for a while, she was the only thing in my world that made sense. We met at a bookstore. Yeah, cliché. I know. I was picking up Murakami, she was browsing poetry. I made a dumb comment about Bukowski being overrated. She laughed, said I had pretentious eyes. I should have known then that she had claws behind that smile. But when you're starved for affection, even a razor feels like silk at first. The first few weeks were magic. The late night calls. The spontaneous road trips. Her sleeping in my hoodie. My hand on her thigh while we blasted the neighborhood from my shitty car speakers. She looked at me like I was the only man alive. She kissed me like I was oxygen. She held me like she already knew how to let go. I fell hard. I fell stupid. And I missed all the signs. The first red flag? She never let me post her. Ever. Said she liked to keep things private. But I saw her friends post their boyfriends. I saw her tag people in pictures, just never me. Then there was the way she kept her phone on Do Not Disturb all the time. Always face down. Always password protected. She said she had trust issues. I nodded. I understood. I waited. God, I waited like a fool. One night, she called me Lucas. My name's not Lucas. She laughed it off, blamed it on a dream she'd had. I didn't laugh, but I stayed. Of course I stayed. Because by then, I was hooked. Addicted to the way she made me feel small, but chosen. Like I was barely enough, but barely was still something. Weeks turned into months. Her affection came in waves. Sometimes she'd drown me in kisses and attention. Other times she'd vanish for hours, even days. She called it needing space. I called it respecting her boundaries. But deep down, I knew. There was someone else. I just didn't know who. Until that night. The night she told me she wanted closure. We'd been rocky for a while. I tried to fix things, took her to her favorite restaurant, bought her the flowers she liked, wrote her a letter because she once told me she liked when guys were vulnerable. She read the letter, smiled, tucked it into her purse, then said she needed a weekend alone. I didn't protest. I trusted her. Because that's what love is supposed to be, right? She left Friday morning. Said she'd be at her friend Maya's cabin. No signal there. Don't worry if I don't reply. I spent the whole weekend trying not to go insane. Watched the clock. Scrolled through our old photos. Even opened a blank message just to type, "I miss you," and stare at it before deleting it. Sunday night, she texted me. "Back home. Can we talk tomorrow?" My stomach dropped. You know that feeling when the floor's gone and you're just free falling? I didn't sleep. Didn't eat. I just waited. She came over around 8 p.m. Wore my favorite hoodie. No makeup. Hair up. She smelled like someone else's cologne. She sat on the couch, folded her legs like it was just another night. And then she said it. "I met up with Lucas." I didn't breathe. I didn't move. She continued. Calm. Too calm. We needed closure. There were things left unsaid. And it got complicated. Complicated. That's how she described sleeping with her ex. Complicated. I didn't scream. Didn't curse. Didn't cry. I just asked one question. "Did you sleep with him?" She blinked. Looked away. Then nodded. Once. Twice. 3 times. And the worst part? She said it like she was confessing to eating ice cream while on a diet. No guilt. No tears. Just facts. I needed to know if there was still something there, she said. It didn't mean I don't care about you. Care. That word. That useless, hollow word. She said she cared. Like that somehow balanced the scales. Like care could cancel out betrayal. Then she said the line I'll never forget. "I hope we can still be friends." Friends. She shattered me and wanted a friendship out of the rubble. I told her to leave. She stood, adjusted the hoodie, my hoodie, and walked to the door. Then paused, turned, and said, I didn't want to lie to you, but she had, for months. She didn't tell me out of guilt. She told me because the lie became inconvenient. The moment the truth stopped being a secret she controlled, she handed it to me like garbage she was tired of hiding. And that's when I realized. She never loved me. She loved the attention, the comfort, the version of me that made her feel adored without requiring anything real in return. She called it closure. I called it cruelty. I sat in the silence she left behind. No sound, no movement, just the echo of her voice, those cruelly soft words ricocheting in my skull. I should have cried, should have screamed, should have felt something, but I didn't. I just sat there, staring at the door she'd closed like she hadn't just burned everything to the ground. Hours passed. The clock ticked. My phone lit up a few times, messages from friends I ignored, maybe even one from her. I didn't check. The next morning, I went to work like a zombie. No one noticed. No one ever does. But everything was different now. The day after she told me, Maya messaged me on Instagram. The same Maya who supposedly lent Clara her cabin. "Hey," she wrote, "just saw Clara's story from the weekend. Are you guys good?" I blinked. "What story?" I checked. Of course she'd forgotten to block her close friends list. There it was. A blurry video of Clara on a balcony, in a white robe, holding a wine glass. The caption? "Sometimes you have to revisit the past to understand the present dizzy." And in the reflection of the glass door behind her, there he was, Lucas, shirtless, smirking, holding her hips from behind. She hadn't gone for closure. She'd gone for a vacation. And I was the backup plan, the placeholder, the guy who gave her stability while she tasted chaos on the weekends. I didn't respond to Maya. I didn't say anything to Clara. I just blocked her. Instagram, phone, everything. But blocking someone doesn't delete what they did. The next few weeks were the hardest of my life. You don't just mourn the person. You mourn the version of yourself that existed when you still believed their love was real. I stopped eating, lost weight. My coworkers noticed, finally, said I looked tired. I nodded, said I was just adjusting to things. They didn't know that every time my phone buzzed, I hoped it wasn't her, because I didn't trust myself not to answer. And then, of course, she found another way in. Fake number. Text message. "Hey, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I miss talking to you. Miss talking to me." As if our entire relationship was just casual conversation. I didn't respond. Not right away. But after 2 more days of silence, I cracked. Stupid me. Why did you do it?" I wrote. It took her 2 minutes to reply. Like she'd been waiting. "I don't know." I panicked. I felt something unresolved. But it didn't mean I didn't love you. Didn't love me. Past tense. That was all I needed to see. I blocked the number. Again. But the damage was already done. I started questioning everything. Was any of it real? Did she ever mean it when she said she loved me? Or was I just a comfort between better stories she told herself she deserved? And Lucas, what about him? Did he know about me? Did he care? I created a fake profile. Searched his name. Found his account. Public, of course. He looked exactly how I imagined. Gym selfies. Rolexes. Nights out. Cocky captions. And there she was. Clara. 3 weeks after we broke up. New post. Her in his passenger seat. Feet on the dashboard. Laughing. Caption. "Some things just fall back into place puzzle piece." I stared at that photo until the image burned into my brain. Not because I missed her. Not because I wanted her back. But because of what it meant. She didn't fall into someone else's arms. She returned to them. Which meant I was never the one. I was just the pit stop. The emotional motel she rested in between detours back to the man who treated her like an option. And suddenly, every "I love you," every kiss, every night she curled up in my arms. It all felt fake. A performance. And the audience was always her. She just needed to convince herself she wasn't the villain. But the truth is, she was. The kind that doesn't wear horns or laugh maniacally. The kind that smiles sweetly while slowly dismantling you from the inside. She didn't break my heart. She starved it, then blamed me for being too weak to survive her hunger. I wish I could say that was the end, that I moved on, found peace, found someone better. But healing doesn't work that way. Not when the wounds are wrapped in confusion. Not when the knife came wrapped in kisses. I started therapy. Talked to someone who didn't say just move on. Someone who helped me unpack the way I attached myself to her validation like it was a life raft. I rebuilt, bit by bit. Painfully, I stopped checking her socials. Stopped wondering if she missed me. Because the truth is, it doesn't matter if she did. It wouldn't change a thing. Some people don't come into your life to love you. They come to teach you what love isn't. Clara was my teacher. And I learned, the hard way. I used to believe closure came in the form of a conversation. A final talk. A reckoning. But after Clara, I realized something darker. Some people don't want closure. They want control. They want to exit on their terms. Leave you holding the weight while they walk away lighter, freer. That's what she did. She didn't leave to find herself. She left because she already had what she wanted. The thrill, the nostalgia, the validation, and she'd wrung me out for all I was worth. I kept going to therapy, kept journaling, kept digging through the mess of my emotions like an archaeologist trying to make sense of a ruin. And in those layers, I uncovered something that made me sick. I had seen the signs. I just didn't want to believe them. Like the way she used to flinch when I'd mention commitment, or how she'd always say things like, "I just don't believe people are meant to stay with one person forever." Or, "What if this is just a chapter?" I thought those were harmless musings, philosophical ramblings. But now I knew. Those were disclaimers, little warnings she sprinkled into our love story, in case she ever had to walk away and say, "I told you." The more I replayed it, the clearer it became. Clara never believed in us the way I did. She liked the idea of us, the comfort, the security, the gentle consistency I brought. But she was never going to stay. She was always planning her exit. Even while she smiled across the table at dinner, even while she whispered forever in bed, I had to accept that. But then, 2 months later, she came back. Not physically, digitally. Another fake number, another message. This time, "Hey, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I wanted you to know I ended things with Lucas. It just wasn't what I thought." I stared at the text, hands shaking, breath shallow. Of course she did. Of course it wasn't what she thought. Because nostalgia is only intoxicating when it's unlived. Once you're back in it, reality ruins the fantasy. I didn't reply, but she kept going. "I've been doing a lot of thinking. I realized how much I took for granted with you. I miss us, not just being in love. I miss your kindness, your calm. I miss the way you always made me feel safe." Safe. What a damn word. She made it sound like I was a blanket, a soft space to land after she was done chasing the storm. Again, I didn't reply. I let her messages pile up like leaves in a gutter. And then came the final punch. "I'd love to talk, if you're open to it. No pressure. Just, maybe we could meet." Closure. There it was. That word again. Like it was some kind of spiritual handshake. Like if we met for coffee, we could rewrite the narrative into something neater. But I knew what she wanted. Not closure. Redemption. She wanted to be forgiven. Not for my peace. For hers. She wanted to know she hadn't ruined me. That I was okay. That she could walk away clean. So I wrote one message. One final message. And then I blocked her forever. Closure is what you give people when you break them slowly enough they don't realize they're bleeding. You don't get closure. You get silence. Live with it. I sent it. I felt my hands shake. Then go still. That was the real closure. Not her apology. Not her regret. It was me choosing to stop explaining my worth to someone who had treated it like spare change. After that, I rebuilt harder. I started lifting again. Cooking. Sleeping better. I saw a girl at work smile at me one day. Really smile. Not the polite kind. The kind that reached her eyes. I smiled back. Not because I wanted anything, but because I finally could. I stopped hating Clara. Not because she deserved forgiveness, but because she no longer deserved space. She became a lesson, a memory, a ghost without power. And maybe one day, when she's lying awake next to some man who doesn't know her depths, she'll think of me and remember the way I looked at her like she held the sky in her hands. And maybe she'll realize she had the whole galaxy and chose a flickering bulb. But by then, I won't be thinking of her. I'll be somewhere better. Not because I found someone else, but because I found myself again. And this time, I'm not handing him over to anyone who doesn't know how to hold something fragile. It's strange how grief doesn't always come in waves. Sometimes it drips. Quiet. Unrelenting. Like a faucet you forgot to tighten all the way. In the weeks after Clara's last message, I expected to feel liberated. Like some invisible weight had been pulled from my chest. And in some ways, it had. I slept through the night without checking my phone. I didn't reread old messages. I deleted our photos, not in a fit of rage, but in calm surrender. But then came the little deaths. The first time I drove past her favorite coffee shop and didn't turn in. The moment I reached for a second fork while making dinner and caught myself. The cold side of the bed that used to hold her warmth. Those were the hauntings. Not her voice. Not her body. But the routine she lived in. The echoes of her in my muscle memory. I remember one Sunday afternoon in particular. Rain smudged the sky gray. I was cleaning out a box of old things. Found her handwriting on a sticky note. Just a dumb little list. Eggs. Oat milk. Kisses after coffee. It gutted me. Because I remembered that day. I remembered her making that list while I brushed my teeth, half awake. Back then, it felt like love. Now, it felt like a forgery. Like someone pretending to love just enough to write something sweet. Before disappearing from the story halfway through the book. But even pain, when felt fully, burns out. Eventually, I stopped bleeding. I scarred. And scars, at their best, are lessons. I began dating again. Slowly. Not out of desperation. Out of curiosity. And I met people, kind ones, funny ones, even beautiful ones. But I never forced anything. I didn't chase the high of new affection to cover old wounds. I let things be. Let myself be. One day, I got lunch with my friend Jared. He asked me something simple. Do you ever miss her? I thought about it. Longer than I expected. Then I said, I miss the version of her I built in my head. Not the one that left. And that was the truth. I had fallen in love with potential. With the glimpses of love she gave me. Not the real, steady version of her. The one who lied, who ghosted, who came back for forgiveness like it was a drink she could order on tap. I missed being in love. Not her. Not really. And that difference was everything. Because healing isn't forgetting. It's remembering without flinching. Eventually, the fog cleared. Music sounded rich again. Food had flavor. Sunsets felt sacred. My own reflection didn't look hollow. Clara faded. Not with a bang, but with grace. Sometimes I wonder if she ever really knew what she did. If she understands that closure is just a polite word for, can I come back without guilt? If she ever realized that by chasing a fantasy with Lucas, she destroyed the one man who actually gave her something real. But then again, it doesn't matter. Not anymore. Because this isn't her story anymore. It's mine. And in mine. I lived. I loved. I lost. But I grew. And that's something she'll never take from me. Not with a kiss. Not with a lie. Not with a message labeled closure. The days after she left again, after that mockery of a goodbye she labeled closure, didn't feel like anything new had started. It just felt like she had reopened everything I'd spent months trying to stitch back together. Wounds that had scabbed over were now torn raw again, bleeding beneath the surface. But this time, something in me refused to collapse. Because this time, I knew what she was. She came back not to apologize, not to take accountability, not to offer truth. She came back to see if I was still broken, to see if I'd still flinch at her presence, to see if she still had a hold on me. And for a brief, disgusting moment, she did, but not anymore. After that night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I changed. That was the difference this time. I started doing things I had avoided for too long, not as distractions, but as restoration. Not for revenge, not for her to see, not to post and pretend, but for me. I changed my number. I deleted our old messages from backup. I donated the gifts she gave me. I repainted my apartment, every room, every wall, purging her from the physical space. I threw out the mattress. I bought a new bed, new sheets, new scent, new silence. She would never exist in my space again, not even in memory. I stopped thinking about who she was pretending to be now. I stopped caring about what stories she told her friends. I stopped caring whether her new relationships would collapse like ours. Because I had finally let go of the need to be understood by someone who only ever understood how to hurt me. It wasn't overnight. It was agony. Some nights, I'd still wake up from dreams where she was smiling at me, not the real her, but that mask she wore so convincingly. The mask that whispered, "You're safe with me." The mask that told me I was special. The mask that made me believe in her, even when she was busy laughing at me behind closed doors. But now, every time I remembered those dreams, I didn't ache for her. I pitied him, the man in the dream who believed her. Because he wasn't me anymore. That man was dead. She killed him. And in his place, I built someone else. Someone who didn't beg. Someone who didn't explain. Someone who didn't chase. Because I had finally realized, there is no peace in understanding why someone decided to break you. There is only peace in accepting that they did and walking away anyway. Months passed. I traveled. Not far. Not glamorous. But enough to feel like the walls of my life were expanding again. I started reconnecting with old friends, the ones she slowly isolated me from with that subtle poison she dripped into my ear. They don't really care about you. They're jealous of us. They're bad influences. They talk shit behind your back. All lies. Lies designed to keep me tethered to her. Because control isn't just about yelling or commands. Control is quiet. It's smiling while they cut your world smaller and smaller until you only have them. I apologize to those friends. They forgave me. Not all, but enough. And that was another step back into myself. There were nights I still felt the echoes of her. Not the love, the damage. The way I flinched when someone raised their voice. The way I hesitated to trust praise. The way I sometimes questioned if I deserved kindness. But I named it. I said it out loud. This is what she left behind. Not shame. Not weakness. Evidence of survival.